So one of the things that I've seen here recently is most businesses, or a lot of businesses, are now collecting COVID-related health data about their employees. My wife works at an elementary school, and basically what they're having them do is fill in a questionnaire on a sheet of paper, and then take that sheet of paper and put it in a plastic bin that is on top of every other sheet of paper from everyone else who has ever done it, and it will probably get filed somewhere and never seen again. The next level of this is going to some sort of online repository of information. I helped a client set up a kind of rudimentary file share to where they can go fill out a survey. It at least gets dropped into an Excel file that somebody can use at some point. Josh, are you having to collect some of that data for some of your employees, or not yet?
Yeah, so right now we have every team member who enters the facility just has to acknowledge that they're not ill, right? So that any of the symptoms of COVID-19, there's a list of them at all of our entrances, and the person just signs and says, by entering this facility, I acknowledge that I don't have any of these symptoms. And then we communicate over and over and over again that if you're sick, don't come to work. If you're sick, don't come to work. I know that you don't think you have a sore throat, but you sound like you're coughing. Please go home. Those sorts of conversations. So you've got the signature, and then you've just got the constant reminder in all of our meetings that, hey, we're not going to come to work sick in this season, and it's not 2 weeks. It's probably a year, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Doctor, how are you viewing this, and how can we move some of this pressure off of the business owners and the HR departments and really get it back into the hands of healthcare professionals who are meant to and used to dealing with this type of information?
So, I mean, I agree with Brian. I don't think business owners should or want to have, the risk of allowing someone back in, not, and I think that A, they don't want the risk, B, they don't have the medical background to assume that risk. And so, I do think that, business owners need to look for a program that mitigates that risk, that unloads that risk, and so and you can't hire a doctor, to come into a small business. That's not a cost-effective solution. But yes, we've come up with programs that are physician-led programs that aren't that costly to do, which does mitigate risks and does allow, some sort of turnkey solution for businesses. So, I spent the last 4 to 6 weeks, probably 8 weeks, developing programs because I knew the day would come where companies would be looking, for some type of program that would give them that feeling that they were taking care of their employees and they were doing the right thing. So over the last 8 weeks, I've been working with a lot of companies, some companies that have 1,000 employees, developing algorithms and online assessment tools that at least up front will clear an employee to go back onto the workplace. And it's not, it's not just, and again, I don't say this in a bad way, but it's not as simple as, hey, are you sick or not? No, I'm not sick. Okay, you're not sick? Come on in, because ultimately there's a lot more to it than whether someone is sick. There's, where have they traveled? Have they been around anyone who is COVID positive? Did they ever test for COVID positive ever in the past? Have they been around someone who is maybe not COVID positive, but is coughing? B, are they not following social distancing rules on the outside? Are they not wearing a mask on the outside? So if you have an employee that may not be sick, but is yet walking around not wearing a mask and is walking around crowded areas and is putting them, let's say, at a higher risk, you may not be so apt to let them just walk through the door without being tested to make sure they're not acutely infectious. Then you want to stratify your population and look at who's high risk. So you may want to take your population and say, out of 150 employees, I got 20 employees that are over 65, or they're diabetic, or they're obese, or they got COPD, or they got asthma. Maybe I need to look a little bit harder at that specific population and decide maybe they need to stay home a little bit longer, or maybe in that specific population, I may want to look a little bit more in depth. Maybe I want to swab some of them. Maybe I want to antibody test some of them. Again, those are the type of things that I think are more doctor-led programs, contact tracing, looking at all the different wearables. You need someone to source all the different opportunities that an employer may want to look at, as far as, do they want contact tracing with an app? Do they want contact tracing with a watch? Do they want contact tracing with something they wear around their neck? What mask should people wear? What's the right mask for people to wear, depending on what kind of job they're doing, within the office. Temperature checks at the door. What device is the most effective to use for temperature checks? What's FDA approved? What's not FDA approved? So, I've spent, the last 2 months kind of developing these kind of turnkey solutions. But at the end of the day, I just believe that it has to be more of a doctor-led type of program than putting all the risk on the employer who hasn't been trained medically to really look at the population they're taking care of, and in a way be able to protect, not their workplace. So that's my thoughts there.